All right, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax. You know, criminals break the law. That's why we call them criminals. But what do you call government when it brazenly and openly breaks or defies our laws or dispenses unequal justice under the law? Can we call that government corrupt? Can we call it illegitimate? Can we call it crooked? The mob or the government? Who can tell the difference? That's our focus in today's preamble. The Department of Injustice has said the FBI will not supervise the collection of classified documents at Joe Biden's various properties. Apparently, that action is only reserved for Republicans like Donald Trump, who are alleged to have mishandled classified documents. The FBI is allowing Obama lawyers to comb through the nation's secrets. Is our government allowed to let folks who have no security clearance to rifle through classified documents? What about the myriad tax issues that have been raised in the last few weeks about the Bidens? There are clear indications of tax evasion, questionable transactions with overseas enemies, and the alphabet agencies in your government refuse to look into those incidents. Democrats don't investigate or prosecute other Democrats, I guess. On my radio show yesterday, one of the conservative rebels, Congressman Andy Ogles, told me that the DOJ is choosing not to enforce the law by collecting classified information for a very good reason. He said that since the DOJ and FBI are not keeping track of all those documents, not establishing a chain of custody with respect, Biden defense lawyers of the future will simply point to that fact and say the government can't prove that Joe Biden actually illegally stored those documents at numerous unsecured places for over 6 years in violation of U.S. law. Again, because the government won't be able to prove chain of custody because the FBI refuses to get involved in taking back the documents that Joe Biden illegally took and stored for over 6 years. Thus, case dismissed. In essence, the DOJ is obstructing justice by making sure that Joe Biden and his family will never get convicted and punished for the crimes that mountains of evidence point to. What's astonishing and insulting is that these alphabet agencies like the DOJ, FBI, and IRS are doing this right in our faces in the finest tradition of the mob. They're looking at the U.S. taxpayer and the GOP majority in the House and they're saying, hey, what are you going to do about it? The difference between the mob and our government is that in some sections of the mob, well, you have some sort of code or honor. By their open double standards and betrayal of our system, the American deep state has no honor. Case in point, Joe Biden's attorney, who was interviewed by the feds, the federal agents, didn't bother to take official notes. Those are called 302s. Hey, we don't want to know the details. We don't want any witnesses. I mentioned the IRS as being part of the government alphabet agency mob. It was learned yesterday that Hunter Biden was collecting money from America's enemy, Communist China, for office space that he shared with the Communist Chinese. The amount the Chi-Coms were paying was $49,910 a month. Wait, what? That dollar figure sounds very, very familiar. Where have I heard that before? That's right. Hunter Biden claimed in documents that he was paying his $9,910 a month to rent the Delaware home where Joe Biden was illegally storing all of those classified documents that he had no legal right to possess. Question, was Hunter Biden one of the least gifted grifters to ever curse this nation? Was he acting as a money laundering service so that China could get money into the bank account of Joe Biden as part of that massive influence peddling scheme alleged in the Hunter Biden laptop? You know, that's a fair question, but the bosses over at the IRS won't be asking or investigating. In fact, the mobsters of the IRS are preventing investigations into Hunter Biden and all of the foreign money that was pouring into the Biden family coffers. You know, folks, not to put too fine a point on all this, but Joe Biden didn't declare his alleged ill-gotten gains on his tax returns, $600 grand worth. But the IRS doesn't investigate. Powerful Democrats, hey, we don't want to know where these guys get their money. We're focused on targeting America's middle class, so you shut up. And that's exactly what we're supposed to do. The in-your-face, brazen corruption in our government has turned the American ideal upside down, where they dictate to us. Banana Republic doesn't seem to cover it, does it? The behavior we're seeing is consistent with socialists and communist countries. The source material is, of course, China, the EU, and other left-wing nations, all well represented in Davos at the World Economic Forum. Left-wing luminaries like Kirsten Sinema, Anthony Scaramucci, and Paul Ryan are in attendance, and they have a plan to shut us Americans up.
We need the people who understand the language and the case law in the country. Because what qualifies as hate speech, as illegal hate speech, which you will have soon also in the US, I think that we have a strong reason why we have this in the criminal law.
That's right. According to the Marxists at Davos, soon the suppression of free speech will be coming to America. First, why do all of these anti-freedom shrubs sound like Bond villains? Second, did you see who was moderating that panel to stifle free speech? It was none other than CNN's former doughboy, little Brian Stelter. Some industry observers would suggest that little Brian lost his gig over there at CNN because, well, too many free speech guys like your liberty-loving Latino here called out his bat guano crazy antics on a regular basis. I think Brian Stelter blames free speech for losing his gig. If he was able to silence free speech, then guys like Mr. Stelter can create any narrative they want and call it news and nobody can challenge it. How many times over the past few years have your legitimate concerns about government overreach and abridging of your rights been deemed conspiracy theories? And then how many times have those so-called conspiracy theories turned out to be 100% true? And that's the game. Try and convince the American people that their liberty, security, and prosperity are not under attack, so we'll be lulled into doing nothing to stop it. Here are the Achilles heels of those pushing this cancerous and destructive agenda. They are arrogant and they are dumb. That's why the Biden press secretary is under attack today, even from CNN. Why she can't even defend Biden's actions and his hypocrisy. But you need to understand that the press isn't angry that Democrats wronged you or this country. The only reason the press is pushing harder than normal is because these dumb leftists can't even lie convincingly enough for the press to write plausible stories to explain away their corrupt behavior. You know, that is why the press loved Bill Clinton and loved Barack Obama. They could lie so effortlessly, allowing the press to provide adequate cover for their misdeeds. Hunter Biden paid his daddy the exact amount of money he was being paid by communist China. Why? Because Hunter Biden is not the sharpest tool in the shed. And he knew daddy and his corrupt pals in government would bail him out if there was ever a problem. Because that's the liberal, privileged world Hunter Biden has lived in his entire miserable life. The FBI and DOJ openly sabotage a criminal case against Joe Biden, knowing that Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, and 16 other Senate Republicans and others who are as ineffective and impotent as they are will do nothing. So the government you are forced to fund says, hey, what are you going to do about it? It's time the American people showed our corrupt government the truth. The truth is we are a people with a government, not the other way around. The federal establishment has grown beyond the consent of the governed and must be deconstructed and rebuilt with reestablished safeguards to protect our rights. And conservatives in the House can begin with the IRS, DOJ, and FBI.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Your retirement funds are being threatened with even more losses from record inflation, recession, and skyrocketing interest rates. Fortunately, the highly trained specialists at American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. If you call them right now as a special offer, they will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order, so don't wait. Call 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309 or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532.